carved in the Prambanan temple of Indonesia. The Prambanan temple has more than 100 different scenes of the Ramayana story, and the reason for me doing this is to document the Ramayana at Prambanan. This is the very first carving of the Prambanan Ramayana. Can you tell me where Rama is? Interestingly, Rama or any of his relatives are not even carved here. And this is not even planet Earth. Instead, the story of Ramayana starts in the heaven, showing Lord Vishnu sitting on a giant snake. Unfortunately, his face has been destroyed, but we may be able to recreate that using Photoshop. How do we know it is Lord Vishnu? Because he's holding a chakra and a conch. And on the left side, you can see his mount, Garuda, the eagle-like vehicle of Vishnu, waiting for his command. And on the right, you can see 5 figures sitting in front of him and asking for his help. What do they want? They want Lord Vishnu to come from the heaven to planet Earth and save them from an evil demon called Ravana. Ravana has been terrorizing kings, saints, and commoners, and these 5 have come to persuade Vishnu to come to Earth and destroy the demon. Will Vishnu accept this? Vishnu decides to help them and gets born as a human being on Earth, and that baby is Rama. Now, this is not how Indian Ramayana starts. This is not even how Indonesian Ramayana starts. Indian Ramayana was written by Valmiki, and the Indonesian version is called the Kakawin Ramayana. But what we see here is the Prambanan Ramayana. This is different from all other Ramayanas. I call this Prambanan Ramayana, which deviates from everything, just like this opening scene here. But why did he carve this as the first scene of Ramayana? Both Indian Ramayana and Indonesian Ramayana start the text by talking about King Dasaratha, who was Rama's father. So why didn't the sculptor carve the king and decide to carve Lord Vishnu instead? Because back then, Hindus were very devout. Even today, many Hindus start everything by worshipping God. So the sculptors did not want to start the story by carving a human. So they have started this endeavor by carving Lord Vishnu as a form of prayer. Now, it's interesting to see how Indonesian sculptors envisioned the heaven or where Lord Vishnu lived. What they're showing us is the sea of milk. Vishnu is sitting on this giant snake, which appears to be angry, and it's showing its fangs, and its hood is wide open. You can see how there are plenty of fishes in the ocean, and even they don't seem to be happy. You can see some crabs here, and notice how they're all raising their pincers because they're also getting angry. And look at this crab. This part is destroyed, but it appears as though it is trying to bite this guy's leg. Why are all these animals unhappy? Because they don't want their beloved master to leave this heavenly place and go to earth and suffer. They all love Lord Vishnu. Now, there's one more fascinating detail here. Look at this conch. Notice that it has wings. It is a flying conch. But we'll talk about this later. And who are these 5 men? Why 5? The implication is that these are 5 elements called Panchabhuta: earth, fire, water, air, and space. And they're unable to take Ravana and his atrocities as he is destroying the planet. So it is time for God to come and save the planet. Now, immediately to the right, you can see what's happening on Earth. You can see this king and his queen having a good time in their palace. Who are they? They are the potential mom and dad of Rama. They're going to make Rama. But here, it's not very imaginative. They're just showing the king and the queen eating something, right? You can see that the king is holding something in his palm and has given some of it to the queen. The queen is also holding it in her hand. And if you see here, you can see a pot full of something, and the sculptor is even showing us what it is. It is a semi-solid rice dessert called kheer. If you haven't studied Ramayana, this carving will make no sense for you. You will say Rama's mom and dad are sitting in the palace and eating. No. According to Ramayana, the queen did not conceive Rama naturally because Rama is not human. So the king gives a magic rice pudding to the queen, and only after she eats it, she becomes pregnant. This is an important scene showing Rama's conception on Earth. And now on top, you can see 2 crows. Why are they carved here? Did the sculptor just carve a couple of crows to fill up the empty space on top? No. Without this greedy crow, there is no Ramayana. This crow is distracted, but the other crow is ready to swoop in and eat the rice pudding. Crows do this all the time, right? But you know what happened? As the queen was eating the pudding, this crow snatched some of it and flew away. And while it was flying, some of the pudding dropped into the mouth of a woman. So what happens to her after she accidentally swallows it? She gives birth to Hanuman, the famous monkey god who plays a key role in Ramayana. Again, this backstory is also not mentioned in Ramayana text, but Indonesians believe this, and even some Indians believe this. It's mentioned in a site called Tiny Ramayana. So you can see how every little detail is carved meticulously. Everything has a meaning. The more you see, the more you understand. In this carving, we can see the king and his 3 wives talking to another man. Who is he? This is a saint who wants to take Rama and his brother Lakshmana to the forest because he's being harassed by a demon. He thinks only Rama and Lakshmana can kill the demon, and he's asking the dad's permission to take these 2 boys to the forest. While these 2 wives seem to be more friendly, you can see that this woman is not happy. She seems unhappy and seems to be twitching her fingers, a sign of unrest. Why? Because she has her own son, and she's starting to see that her son is being sidelined. Only Rama and Lakshmana are given importance. The saint is not asking for her son to come and slay the demon. This is a very important detail because we can see that a power struggle is going to emerge in the kingdom. The king and these 2 wives are unaware of this, but somebody sitting right next to the king is plotting to take over the kingdom. Here, you can see Rama and his brother Lakshmana have gone to the forest with the saint to slay the demon. Rama is holding the bow, but there is no arrow carved, which means he has released the arrow. And notice this demon crying in pain because the arrow has hit her chest. She is actually a demoness or a female demon called Tadaka. And you can see her pointing to her enemy Rama. But ancient builders have used some laws of physics here. Can you tell me what it is? They're showing us the physics behind projectile motion. Rama is holding the bow and is shown releasing the arrow, but he did not release it horizontally. He is releasing it into the sky at a 45-degree angle. Why? Because the demon is located at a longer distance. If your target is close by, you shoot directly. But if your target is hiding at a distance, you have to use the laws of projectile motion because gravity is going to make the object follow a parabolic path, right? And look at the angle the arrow made, almost a 45-degree angle, because if Rama shot the arrow straight, the arrow would not have reached the target. So he used projectile motion. When we see this in the movie Predator, we are shocked that the alien understood projectile motion. But here, ancient builders definitely understood this law of physics, right? Because look at this guy. This is the brother of Rama. He's not using projectile motion. He's holding his arrow straight, and he has hit this demon in his thigh. And look at the angle of the arrow. It is almost straight or horizontal. Why? Because these 2 are much closer to each other. He does not have to use projectile motion and calculate the angle because the target is very close to him. A very fascinating detail that ancient builders did understand science and physics in a very practical way. Now, again, this is not in the original Ramayana, but this demon is only hit in the thigh, so he's not going to die. And his name is Maricha. Remember Maricha because he comes back and plays a crucial role later. Sometimes it's better to finish off your enemies rather than letting them go. So what happens to Maricha? Did he learn his lesson? No, he comes back with his brother to harass the saint and his disciples. I think there's definitely some body shaming going on here. Demons are always overweight, unkempt, and ugly, while the good guys are always fit, well-groomed, and good-looking. This not only applies to these 2 demons on the far right and these 3 figures fighting them, the central figure being Rama. See how good-looking, fit, and well-groomed he is. But this also applies to the saint and his disciples on the far left. They're also thin and well-groomed. What are these 3 doing here? They're doing a ritual called yajna. In front of them, you can see a raised platform. And inside this raised platform, you can see firewood. And on top, there is a fire burning. These Hindu rituals are performed even today. Remember, these carvings are about 1,200 years old, but the same tradition is still followed even today. When someone buys a house or if there is a wedding ceremony, and even on auspicious days, you will still see the same rituals being performed. If the saint raised his right hand, he could ring that bell hanging from the ceiling. Such a brilliant little detail showing that such bell ringing existed during these rituals. Okay, so let's go back to the question I asked you earlier. What happens to Maricha? This carving shows Rama killing Maricha's brother. You can see that Rama's arrow has struck him in his belly and he is on the floor. And Maricha is shown alive, again on the top here. He's shown holding a dagger and a shield, and Rama's brother is shown with a sword. Now, Rama has already released the arrow and has killed Maricha's brother.